BBC Radio Leeds. There's a definite regal theme on the show today, isn't there? Definitely so. We've just heard about the arrival of the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall at the Peace Hall in Halifax, and let's stick with that theme now. In fact, let's introduce, effectively, I'm going to say employee, but possibly even friend as well. Because for many of us, if you mention the word butler, we may think of a man in a black and white tuxedo or a character straight out of Downton Abbey, or maybe the stiff upper-lipped Anthony Hopkins from Remains of the Day. But it's not quite that way. You can actually go on a course to train to become a butler. And I have one man that knows more than most. It's Grant Harrold, the royal butler, that joins us on the programme. Hello, Grant. How are you?
Good morning, Sam. Very well. How are you?
Yeah, lovely. Very well. We're very excited to have two of your former employees, I believe, the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall in the area.
Absolutely. I've just been listening, and it's fantastic to hear the welcome that they're, because I've been lucky enough on a couple of occasions to have accompanied them when they did visits, and it's very exciting when you see what it means to people and how excited they get. It's fantastic.
Well, there are some very, very sweet pictures online if you look on our social media and Tracy's of Prince Charles meeting the children that have made their own little paper crowns. It's very sweet indeed, but it must be a very surreal experience to work for royals like that.
It is. I mean, this kind of ambition for me started when I was a youngster, and I had this. I loved the royal family. I respected them, and I remember saying to my parents or my father, one day I'd like to either marry one of them or be involved in some way. And obviously, I then discovered that marriage at that point was out of the question. I'm still obviously waiting just in case, but the reality was that to become a butler was an easier option. But again, the chances of actually getting to be a butler for them was, I don't know what the odds are, but it was probably 1 in a million, and it was quite amazing when I got that opportunity to work for them and also get to know them, and as I said, on occasions got to kind of accompany them on those kind of visits, which was very special. I used to have to pinch myself most days, actually.
I bet. I mean, how do you get a job working for a royal? Because I don't imagine they just advertise in the local papers.
Well, not quite. I mean, the papers these days do pick up when the Queen's maybe looking for a footman or they're looking for somebody at Buckingham Palace, but it's kind of word of mouth. I mean, there's kind of traditional ways that people hear about them through certain magazines or papers, but more or less it's word of mouth. I mean, that's how I heard about the position. It's you hear through other people. If you know the right people, you hear about the positions, and then it's down to the individual to obviously make sure that you impress and hopefully got quite a good background in CV.
I mean, it sounds a silly question, but I presume you are someone that wants to serve to much in the way that maybe people who like to work in restaurants or bars like to make sure other people enjoy themselves or are served well. Those are the kind of skills you look for in a butler, is it?
They are the kind of skills. I mean, the thing is, you mentioned Anthony Hopkins, and I loved the movie Remains of the Day with Anthony Hopkins. That was one of the reasons I wanted to go into the world of butlers. And I mean, I discovered from, again, a young age, I enjoyed laying tables. I enjoyed when guests used to come to the house kind of being the butler on duty. Most kids are probably out playing football. I was going around thinking I'm, Anthony Hopkins or something, or Jeeves. And I love this kind of amazing kind of world, this kind of lifestyle. And this is kind of what triggered this thing that I wanted to be part of that and involved in it. The difficult part of this is that these days, well, certainly a few years ago, it was quite difficult to even get into the industry because the butlers had reduced numbers. It's on the ton. Butlers are increasing. And over the years, I heard about different ways of training as a butler. I was a bit disappointed when I heard, how sometimes the right skills weren't being passed on. And that's why I decided if I launched my own butler school, which I started in England at Blenheim Palace, and it's grown. As you know, we're about to launch in Scotland next week. And I'm giving people the opportunity. I'm not saying to them that you leave the school as a butler. I'm saying I give you that introduction. I give you the experiences that then if you want to go into a house, which we try to help, then you've got the kind of background. And more importantly, the recommendation. I mean, this is the reality is recommendation or references from people like myself are quite important when you want to get into that industry because there's a lot. Trust is a big thing.
Yeah, and so people will come to you, and what do they stay? Is it a week-long course, a month? How does it work?
some of the courses that we run at Blenheim Palace, for example, you can stay locally. You can't actually stay in the palace. You can if you've got enough money, but people will stay.
If you've got enough money to stay there, I don't think you're going to train to be a butler.
No,
I think you're recruiting your own butlers.
I think so, exactly. So they stay in local accommodation. In Scotland, however, we're doing it a bit differently to try to keep, because I'm very keen on keeping the cost down for the course. So therefore, the way we're doing this is we're saying to people, look, find your local kind of accommodation, a bed and breakfast or something, and then we're doing quite special rates to kind of encourage people to do the course, because again, there's a lot of courses out there that cost quite a lot to join them, and we want it to be possible for people to do this course. And at the end of the day, they can do it. If they don't enjoy it or they decide it's not for them, they're not thinking, well, that was a waste of money. Hopefully they take something away. And we also, part of my background is I teach etiquette as well, and there's a big part of etiquette involved in it as well. And so if you do the course, you'd certainly know how to behave when you meet a royal as well.
Well, speaking of behaving, I mean, I imagine you have found out some fantastic secrets and gossip, haven't you?
Well, the thing is that any good butler will tell you we never give those secrets away.
Oh, come on, Grant, just something, just a snippet.
However, one of the people say to me, when you work for the Royals, is there anything amazing that ever happened or anything extraordinary? And one of the things that I always treasure is actually getting to dance with the Queen at Balmoral Castle at one of what's called the Gillies Ball. These were established for Queen Victoria, obviously in the 1800s at Balmoral Castle. And it was actually the Gillies Ball that I watched in a television programme in the early 90s, and that's when I first saw people dance with the Queen. And again, I said to my parents, how do you get to dance with the Queen? Little did I realise 20-odd years later, I'd be in the ballroom and I'd be dancing actually with the Duchess of Cornwall, and at the end of the dance I turned around and there was the Queen waiting to begin dancing.
Waiting for you, I like that.
Waiting for me to begin dancing, and I remember, and you don't keep the Queen waiting, and I was thinking, nobody would believe this. And I think quite soon after I phoned my mother and said, you're never going to believe I've just been dancing with. And I think, even to this day, I still shock the parents when I tell them who I've been with or what I've been doing. So,
well, yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it must be extraordinary. Do you? Because I'm watching The Crown at the moment, obviously, and the butlers and the servants are obviously in the rooms when very big decisions are made, when things happen to the families. And I'm not, obviously, you can't tell me, but have you been there? Have you been privy to conversations where you think, I can't believe this is happening? Yeah,
I mean, absolutely. I mean, as you say, those are the kind of conversations we can't repeat. But the thing is, you are around at some amazing times, and you do feel very lucky, you do feel very privileged. For example, without going into the details, when the Prince of Wales married the Duchess of Cornwall, I was around that whole period of time, and like everyone else, it was very exciting. There was a lot of people, obviously it was the news of the day. I got invited to the wedding, I was actually at the reception, and again, you kind of think you're kind of in history.
Yeah, you are.
Another occasion was having a lunch with Prince William, and sitting down having lunch with Prince William. And again, you think, how many people can actually say they've a small table, I think about 6 to 8, which is a very small group. And again, you think, how lucky is it? How many people get to experience this? So you do feel part of history. The only thing I ever say, because I was lucky enough to butler for Prince William and the Duchess, as she is now, Duchess of Cambridge, I always kind of think when they make the movies about their life and everything, I hope my character's played by Brad Pitt. I hope they get somebody that looks my part to play me.
It's been really fascinating to talk to you, Grant. Thanks ever so much. And all budding butlers, if you just search for Grant online, the Royal Butler, you'll find out everything you need to know there. Nice to share those moments with you, Grant. Thanks very much.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Cheers. Oh, and I should have asked, did you ever spill tomato soup on HRH at all?
Thank God I can safely say no.
Oh,
never.
Well done. Well done, you. There's still time, though. There's still time. Thanks, Grant.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now. How about that? Oh, imagine being those moments. Oh, imagine the stories you could tell, but you can't for fear of getting your head chopped off. Grant Harrold, the Royal Butler on BBC Radio Leeds.